Next, let us talk about the basic types of question. So in any assessment, if we are using questions, the questions will fall into one of these basic categories or basic types. There are close-ended questions. So close-ended questions are questions where there is only one possible correct answer. For example, if I ask you how many prime numbers can be found between 1 and 10, then there is only one possible correct answer here. So that is a close-ended question. Then there are open-ended questions. An open-ended question can have multiple correct answers. For example, if I ask you name two shapes which have four sides, you can say square and rectangle, or you can say square and rhombus, or you can say rhombus and parallelogram. So all of these are correct answers. So an open-ended question can have multiple correct answers. Then there are probing questions. A probing questions are essentially a series of questions or follow-up questions where you're trying to get a deeper understanding about a specific aspect. For example, if I ask you which subjects do you like, and then once you give me the answer, I will ask you why. So I'm trying to get a deeper understanding about why you like some specific subjects. Then there are leading questions. So leading questions are where you are trying to lead the learners or lead the students to give a specific desired answer. For example, if I ask you, isn't this an interesting class? So it means that I want you to tell me yes. And if you tell me no, then I will ask you more questions. Otherwise, I'm asking you to confirm that this is an interesting class. So these are leading questions because I'm leading you towards a specific answer. Then there are loaded questions. So loaded questions means that you already have an assumption about the learner or about the situation. For example, if I ask you, have you stopped copying your homework? It means that I already assume that you are copying your homework. And now I'm asking you whether you have stopped it or not. So if you say yes, it would mean that yes, you are copying your homework, but now you have stopped it. If you say no, it would mean that you are copying your homework and you continue to copy your homework. So if you want to defend yourself, you have to say, I was never copying my homework in the first place. So now there is no question of me stopping or not stopping. So there is a longer process involved in you having to defend yourself. So this is a loaded question where there is already an assumption that I'm expressing about you. And then there are funnel questions. So funnel questions are similar to probing questions, but this is a longer series of questions. For example, I can ask a student, do you read at home? The student says yes or no. And then I will ask, what do you read? And then if the student says that I read some magazines every day, then I'll ask him, does anybody help you when you're trying to read? So that way I'm leading from a broad question. That is, do you read or no? And then I'm asking a much narrower question, what do you read? And then I'm going into more depth into that particular topic. So a funnel question starts from a broad question and moves towards a narrower or a more specific question. And then we are talking about process questions. So process questions are where you're not just trying to get a yes-no answer. Here, you're trying to make the learner or make the children think about the process. For example, if you ask a child, how should you appoint the class leader or the class monitor? Then the child might think, okay, should the person who is athletically performing well, should he or she be the class leader, or should the class leader be someone who is doing academically very well? So how do you select, or how do you vote, or how do you elect the class leader? So you are trying to get the learner to think of the process. And you are trying to understand how this person's thought process actually works. And then there are rhetorical questions. So rhetorical questions are not actually questions. They are just statements. And I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just making a statement, but it looks like a question. For example, if I say, isn't this a great movie? Isn't this a great video? Right? It means that I already know that this is a great video and that is my opinion. And I'm just asking you to confirm that. So that's a rhetorical question. So these are the basic types of questions that you can use in any assessment. So we just discussed about 8 different types of questions. So from your exam point of view, close-ended questions and open-ended questions are very, very important because every year you'll see at least one question asking you to identify which of the following is a close-ended question or which of the following is an open-ended question. So you should be familiar with these two types of questions.